I think for so long, what we were doing, we really felt like we were the Lone Rangers in this world. It was like nobody, when we started this, nobody around here had ever done anything like that.
They didn't even know what to call us.
When I lived in sober houses many, many years ago, it was slightly different. I mean, there was only like 4 houses in Oklahoma. And it was impossible to get in. And all the time, for people who, for example, getting out of prison, they don't know anyone, for example, if they in a different state, or all their relatives and friends don't want to do nothing with that, which is very common. And they don't know where to go.
We all hear the stories of the sober living homes in our community as well. For my community, they were kind of questionable.
A part of what occurred in that is we, at least myself and part of my staff as well, realized that we didn't know as much about recovery as we should, perhaps, and as we could.
Back in 2010, when we started the sober living environment, it just seemed really hard to get information from other people who were in the same business, and I don't know why that was.
One of the things that's most critical is to meet people where they're at when they need us most. And housing is one of those really important critical elements of identity in and of itself. And so being able to have a safe place to live, a safe place to thrive, and build a family, or be a contributing member of society is a critical piece of anyone's life, but also especially people who are in recovery.
The community involvement and community that comes with sober living is necessary here. You know, we go to detox, we go to treatment, and then a lot of times we just go straight home, and then we end up relapsing. We complete that cycle. And what sober living does is gives us that opportunity to have that community recovery, which is so necessary for long-term recovery. Without that piece, I was just stuck in that cycle like a lot of our, residents were.
Yeah, so I dealt with addiction for about 12 years, and I made this choice to go into treatment. I was really just trying to beat the system. And I got there, and what I found is that all these other people were living happy, successful lives by just following a simple process. And so I decided that I was gonna jump on board with this, because what do I have to lose?
I am in recovery. I got a little bit over 9 years sober. Unfortunately, I did not sober up the first time I tried, and the first time I was introduced to the program, and so it took me a lot of tries and fails, but it still helped a lot because, it planted that seed where I knew where to go for help when I was ready.
I came out like a lot of guys come out. I decided I was gonna give it 2 months, and after 2 months, that's, I'll probably be okay, but that wasn't worth the case. After 2 months, I realized that I needed what they were talking about. I needed long-term recovery. I needed community. I needed other men pouring into me, and I needed to be able to get that back. So I ended up staying with that 2 month commitment that I promised, or that I had in my head. I ended up staying 22 months and graduated the program.
I did 8.5 years myself incarcerated. I came out, came to end up as a resident, began to be involved here. I started working here for them. The CEO pulled me aside and asked me to get me involved. Rejected that a couple of times and finally gave into that and talk. And so approximately 3 years ago, I started working on staff here with Linda.
I spent 11 years in addiction to opiate pain medication and methamphetamines. I was criminally justice impacted when I first left, and I had access to treatment services, outpatient, inpatient counseling, those kind of things, and I took advantage of all those, and I saw others that didn't have those advantages, so I really took it as a gift and focused on that first year, became involved in 12-step fellowships, anything recovery I could get my hands on.
So I have different family members who have been in recovery. It kind of aided them along the process.
process. Friends who've gone through the process. And so I have definitely seen firsthand what that can do to a person, which just, on a personal level makes me just adore the work that Okarr is doing even more.
So I've been with Okarr 2 years now, and at that time, whenever I came in, Okarr was really just getting started and had about 790 or so beds. We have 40 operators at this point, and are at 1,645 beds, which is more than double the capacity of recovery homes and opportunities for people in recovery to find housing. So we have had just tremendous growth and interest in the certification process and learning opportunities for operators and people in recovery.
Going through my own recovery journey early on in my life, and having a passion to go back into the field really helped me to open my eyes to what other people experience and different levels of recovery and the different life journeys that people have. It helps to keep me engaged with keeping well and achieving higher levels of wellness and overall life satisfaction, and giving back to others and helping other people find a pathway toward recovery that's right for them.
Without going too deep in it, I myself, I'm in recovery. And I think I started my recovery journey back when I was 18 years old. Well, I'm 59 now. So recovery is quite the journey. Trauma can be very hard for individuals, and I know a lot of us share that. But sometimes the choices that are made because of the way that you process trauma. And that's what happened. I ended up picking up drugs and alcohol. I ended up going to prison for 5 years. And then when I got out, I went to a recovery residence. We used to call them sober living then. And that was the first time in all my years of trying to make it work, that it did work.
When Kevin and I met almost 40 years ago and started dating, that was the common denominator in our relationship. He was raised in an alcoholic household, I was raised in an alcoholic household, but both of our parents found sobriety through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So even as children, growing up to the trauma that you experienced, being raised up in that household, we knew that there was a solution because we saw our parents find that solution, and we saw both of our households change.
There's a lot of things you don't think about as an operator that are safety features. There's things that requirements that in the home, what the spacing, just the privacy.
This is the most messiest thing that a person could choose to do. Facing death every day, facing failure every day, facing all of the problems that an addict and an alcoholic face getting sober. The mental illness that has become a part of, as we now see, almost everyone's life that's addicted.
Men in general have a tendency to want to come out of prison, get their own space, and then just kind of drop in a shell, go to work, come home, be left alone. So to get them to socialize, interact, get involved with one another is a process.
We're just resource drawing in a lot of places, and I think that's the biggest struggle overall because our residents need those services. A lack of funding for behavioral health services, treatment beds, because we still work with individuals who need treatment, and the support services, helping people get driver's license, transportation in rural areas. The rural areas in Oklahoma struggle. I'm in a rural area.
So my own recovery has been a huge journey. I want people to understand that. There's a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of joy, and there's sorrow and death, and it's experiencing all of that in a sober way, without having to kill your pains it's important to me to teach people you can live life and go through all of the problems.
You know, recovery doesn't look the same for everybody, and that's why it's so important to really capture those stories and to share those stories so that people can relate and acknowledge that we're not without stress, without distress, without emotional times that we get emotional. And so what all of those things might lead to if we don't have a support system built, a structure for coping that's healthy, then we weren't going to be successful. And so the more that we can build those things, the more that we can share those experiences and those challenges in building those things and keeping those things intact, the more that we'll be able to break down the barriers of stigma and really make it just as normal as we would with anything else.
We want residents to understand the importance of going into a recovery home that has sound policy and procedures, appropriate insurance, things like that.
Coming from the healthcare side, we also know the importance of standardization, certifications, accreditation, having evidence-based practices. And so that's honestly what attracted us mostly to our work with Okarr, is knowing their passion for making sure recovery homes have that in place for a safe, supportive place for people in recovery to be.
Like I said, you don't know necessarily what you're going to get in terms of a sober living, because anybody can put up a shingle and call themselves a sober living facility or a sober living environment.
They keep people up to the standards, which I believe have to be some standards, like you run in the sober house.
They offer trainings that help us learn about best practices and what is, because, you know, we want to help the people as best we can. And if we have a set of standards that we follow, it's because that has been proven to work.
The accountability and the structure that the standards have provided to me as an operator really made my organization better and stronger, not just for the organization itself, but more importantly for my residents.
At the end of the day, it's not about us, it's not about having a certificate on the wall. It's about what's best for that person who's in recovery. And sometimes that is having specific protocols and standards in place to make sure they're getting the highest level of care and assistance that they might need in that process.
I think when you show that willingness to say, I'm willing to be held accountable, we're also modeling recovery principles within our organization. We want to hold our residents accountable, we need to be held accountable.
With Okarr coming in, it was much more precise. It was in writing. These are the things expected. So that helped us then to have a set of standards to enforce and to work from. Their patience in working with us was phenomenal. To be able to allow us to bring things up to par where it needed to be, and taking the time to do that and working with us.
The benefit of it is, I guess, when certain people call you, they know you got a support system behind you, just not just a regular person off the street to just say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. You went through some kind of process to get certified.
We want them to still maintain their independence and all the different creative ways that they can individually help that person in recovery, with also helping them take it to the next level.
Sadly, sometimes people look at it as competition, and it's not. You can talk to most Okarr operators, we don't look at it that way at all. We want to help each other, mainly because most of us, we've been there. We've walked in the door for the first time, and we want to be able to help that person find the most comfortable fit for them to continue their recovery, because it's so important. We want to have that partnership and have that transparency with everybody.
We have a really good relationship right now, because anytime I need to, I can pick up the phone and I get an answer. Other operators, we have a contact with quite a few. And it's like I said, because one of the houses is full, if they need to find a place for someone, and they pick up the phone and they start calling.
Being in this association, it's not like we're in competition with other operators. We're in mission with them. And so not everybody may be a fit for our facility, but we know that we can refer them to another operator, knowing that they have the same set of standards
I think the biggest benefit would just be your ability to connect to different resources in the community. I hear a lot of times, I don't know where to go for help with XYZ. And we could say, oh, I know this person, I can connect you to them. Just the networking alone, I think is a massive benefit, especially in rural Oklahoma.
We all get to know one another, and it's a special thing that goes on with all of us. And it's a great support system too for operators who, for like me, are out here kind of by ourselves, to have a network of people I can call and go, hey, I've got a question, what do you think about this? And just kind of network together.
I don't think I was much of a networking person prior to that connection. And so it's opened up a lot of connections for us and for me particularly in my role, to network with other recovery houses, other people in connected businesses. That has been extremely beneficial.
The thing that Okarr has helped us to do is be able to collaborate with a lot of other organizations, get into meetings where we knew, everybody talked about the same problem. We thought we were the only place where people didn't pay rent. Then we find out that when we talk to people that, oh, okay, and without Okarr, we probably wouldn't have really gotten involved with any other organizations like that.
My personal relationship with recovery, it's not an easy thing, but it's a very rewarding thing. If I hadn't gotten into recovery, I wouldn't have realized everything that I have wanted to do for a long time. Since I came here, I have gotten my high school diploma equivalent. So that's a huge accomplishment. I was able to see my daughter for the first time, and it was 4 years. She actually showed up to that graduation. I didn't even know that she was gonna be there. I start CNA school next month. I will be going on to get my LPN. And what was keeping me from being able to do that was I was scared I wasn't gonna be able to pass the drug test. So being here, it was just like, oh, that's not even a barrier anymore. Like, let's just do it in a day. And it was the best possible thing that I could have done for myself.
We see so much stigma in the recovery community that it's very important for me to have our operators and those living in their homes know, that we care about them, that our, mission at the end of the day is to get them happy and healthy and taking that next step in their journey. And that's just at the end of the day, I think the biggest reward for me is hearing somebody say, you've made a difference in the work that you're doing.
You work with a lot of, I work with a lot of guys, and a lot of times it doesn't work. But there is times where someone gets it, and that light turns on, and in their eyes, and their life changes. And it changes 180 degrees, and the people who are really not a productive member of society become, good parents, good husbands, good workers. And seeing that, I don't know what's better reward can be than seeing that. And because someone was there when I needed it, someone took their time to do it, so I'm mine.
My residents, watching their lives get changed, and watching them help each other. I love it when I hear new things coming out of people that maybe would have never thought they would say no. Achieving goals, watching them live out their dreams, being reunified with their children, just seeing all of the change. That's what keeps me going. Because it is hard work, and there are some days you wonder, why am I doing this? And as soon am I making a difference? And then something will happen, and you go, okay, there it is. And you just get up and fight another day. And I'm grateful that I get to walk out the recovery journey with my residents.
One of the things that I think for both of us is we just have love for people. And the reason that we do this is because we love people. That love was shown to us, and this has been an evolution of love. I mean, it really is the best way to describe it. Because we both love helping people. If we didn't, obviously, we wouldn't be doing it 40 years later.
So over this period of time, we've been able to find and build a really strong staff. And for me, that staff is what holds it together for me. Not only am I there to try to encourage and strengthen them, and I have certain tools I try to use to do that, but I also believe that my staff is strong enough that I can go in and shut the door and sit down with one of them and say, hey, it's a tough day, talk to me about our wins.
I think, it's not I think, I know that whenever we get those calls from family members, that they have tried everything. They don't know what to do, they don't know where to go. They just have more questions than answers. And so whenever they call us and we can give them an answer, we can give them hope, we can give them opportunity, we can take them by the hand and lead them exactly to where they need to go. When that happens, when you listen to that mom and that dad or that husband or that wife and they're just lost, and you can give them direction, and help their son or daughter, whoever it may be, start the recovery process. And then you get that call about a year later, and they're just ecstatic of how their loved one is somebody totally different, complete radical life change, complete different person than what they existed. Because when we remove the substances, the drugs and alcohol, it's a beautiful person sitting there, and they have great opportunity. And for me, that's what Okarr's done. That's what Okarr's done for the state of Oklahoma. That's what it continues to do. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
So I have to concentrate on the successes and not the failures. What we do in recovery housing is we also plant seeds of support, and sometimes people take that hand, and sometimes people don't. We can't let the failures overcome the successes, because there's so many people that we are helping. We just have to keep that at the forefront.
And usually it is by hearing that story, seeing that we have helped somebody that was in a hopeless state have some hope, even if it's the tiniest little piece of hope. That's what keeps them going, is when you connect with someone and you realize that they actually believe that they're worthy enough to have a chance. And it is a hard job. And there has to be a level of self-care that goes on too. I have to make sure that I'm taking a look at me also.
Seeing the end result, some is good, sometimes not as what you want it to be. But the fact that you know that you tried at the end of the day, you gotta keep the feelings in your body and help you.
Do it. I mean, get certified. Like I said, I do it because I want the guys to know how to stay sober. That any help I can get to do that, I really appreciate it, and it's always welcome. So I believe if you want to open a facility or thinking about getting certified, you should, because then you get more help. And that's what it's about, help people to stay sober.